Kalamazoo's Real Rock Station, 92.5 The ZUU. It's a Big Dumb Radio Show. I'm Taz. Thanks for tuning in. Very lucky to have George Lynch on the phone. George, how you doing?
You are lucky to have me on the phone. I'm just kidding.
Don't be so humble here, George.
False humility.
Of course, George is a former guitarist of Dokken and the guitarist of the reunited Lynch Mob. What can you tell us about the band getting back together? Who do you have, where, and what assignments you've been handing out?
Well, you forgot my third band, Souls of We.
Souls of We. Well, I'm going to get to that in a second because you guys have a show coming up in the area.
Well, I've always had it on the table with Oni that if he ever wants to reconvene and put Lynch Mob back together, I'll be ready to jump into the fire, at a moment's notice. And he finally got to a place in his life, I think, that he felt comfortable. I mean, he did sort of fall out of the music business for quite a few years, moved to Switzerland, and, I don't know, lived in a cave up in the Alps somewhere. I don't know what he was doing, and making a little bit of music here and there, and getting his head together. And he called me up about a year and a half ago, and we put it back together, and it's been wonderful. So we reacquainted ourselves with each other, became friends, and started writing, and we said, you know what, this is going to work, because the chemistry was still there.
Now, when you mention Oni, a lot of people need to be brushed up on Lynch Mob because, I mean, Wicked Sensation just killed people, man. People love that album, and Oni was the vocalist on Wicked Sensation, and I've heard some tracks from the new album that's going to be released on October 13th, Smoke and Mirrors, and it sounds exactly like people think Lynch Mob should sound. You guys have kept that sound through all these years, and the breakup of the band and getting people back together. What does Oni do for that process?
Well, I tell you what, we didn't think too hard about it, and I felt that was the key, was just to, not sit down and go, well, what do we want to become, or how do we want to represent ourselves? How about just, after all the decades in this business, I realized that the best thing you can do is just tell the truth, be honest, and do what comes naturally. And that's what we did. We just got in a room together and worked, and that's what came out. So it wasn't rocket science, and we didn't think too hard. It's just the interaction between myself and Oni, and to a lesser extent, Marco Mendoza and Scott Coogan, the rest, the whole band.
And I mentioned earlier that I've heard some of the tracks, my favorite being track number 7, Let the Music Be Your Master. You got a 2-minute solo on this thing. It's kind of bluesy. You haven't lost any inspiration. What still pushes you when you're playing guitar after all these years?
Two things. One is, that ever-present ideal that sits around in my head, and the perfect album and the perfect band and so forth, and that's still sitting up there. And every time I do a record, you think it's the greatest record you've ever done, and then of course you realize it wasn't, and you keep trying, And the problem is, if I ever do succeed in making the perfect record, in my opinion, then the game's over, So maybe it's a good thing that I don't quite attain my goals. But and my second motivation is to get paid. To get paid,
it's all about the money then, huh? They are probably paying you pretty well.
But the thing is that back in the 80s, we wanted success for success's sake. And now I think it's more about the things that you can do with success. And the success to me is just having people be aware of our music, because I think it's something that they want and something that they need, quite honestly. There's a whole huge group of people out there that love a certain style of music, guitar-driven, hard rock, heavy rock music that we create our own unique brand of. And, it's not like we want to be shoving stuff down people's throats, but I think as long as people are aware of it, we'll do fine, and we'll be able to continue to make records and tour, and that's sort of a self-fulfilling endeavor. So if we're able to get the music out in front of people and they appreciate it, enjoy it, and buy it, we can keep working and doing what we do. So when I say I'm motivated by money, I meant that in that sense, not the fact that I want to be a multimillionaire or anything. Although that wouldn't be bad either, but
it wouldn't be bad.
That'll be a byproduct of our efforts.
And you talk about the success thing. From when you started out to now, the definition of success has changed drastically. It used to be, album sales and all this stuff, but with the downloading of music, the digital age, it's a lot more than just selling your albums. It's a lot more than that. You got to get the people to the shows. You got to sell merchandise. You got to do the email newsletters and everything. And Lynch Mob, are you guys going to be supporting this album that's going to be released with a tour?
Well, to go back to your statement, yeah, it's become a very complex world out there as far as promoting yourself. It's not as simple as just, okay, we got a mega record deal, go out there, and you've got a super manager and a super publicist and an agent, and so forth and et cetera. And you got the machine behind you, and it's all behind the curtain, and it just works. Those days are over for most of us. So you really have to be a jack of all trades and hopefully a master of some of them, and be involved in every aspect of your business and your creative efforts, which is being an engineer, being a producer, being a writer, being a musician, being a publicist, being a lawyer, being an agent, being a marketing guy. I mean, it's you have to know some about all of this stuff. And so when I travel around the world and I do clinics and speak and so forth and do interviews, I talk to kids about that. I go, it's one thing to be a guitar player. It's another thing to be a composer, and it's another thing to know what to do with it after you've created it.
And that's not just with guitar either. If you're doing anything, you've got to be able to know everything nowadays with cutbacks and everything. But you're shying away from the tour. Are we going to see a tour?
Oh, absolutely. I'm talking a little preemptively here, but one of the things on the table is a potential Doc and Lynch Mob tour, kind of like a WWF spectacle. We could go out and with all that history and get people talking, and that's always good. Get people interested in. We'll play some Doc and songs as well in our set, and they're welcome to play some Lynch Mob songs, but that's not going to happen. I'm kidding. Me and Don will hug, and
it'll just be a good, happy ending for everybody involved.
Yeah, and then we'll get in a big fake fist fight at the end or something. I don't know. We'll do that every night.
Well, that goes back to our thing. Selling tickets. It's going to work. You might as well do it. Now, if the Doc and Lynch Mob thing happens, which it seems very far-fetched just when you first mentioned it right now, would you want to hop on stage with Doc and too, or how would that work?
Absolutely. That'd be part of the deal. I'd come out at the end, and we'd have a little mini reunion, and it'd be awesome.
That'd be cool.
Don would come out and, make out for a while, and then we'd dive into a couple of old Doc songs, for...
Just turn it into like a KY Jelly wrestling match.
Yeah, come out in my luchadero outfit.
You are currently on tour right now with Souls of We. One at the Ritz in Warren, which is just down I-94 for everybody listening. It's just north of Detroit on September 12th. What can you tell us about Souls of We? Because a lot of fans have lost touch with George Lynch. Now that the Lynch Mob thing is coming back, we're going to get a heavy dose. What's going on with Souls of We?
Well, Souls of We has been sort of under the radar project that I've had for a better part of 5 years. It grew out of a couple other projects that I had that never really saw the light of day, one called Microdot, the other called Band of Flakes, with Jason Slater from Snake River Conspiracy. London was involved with those projects before he joined Nikki Sixx and Brides of Destruction. When Brides of Destruction folded, London came back. We finished the Souls of We record. I'd been working on it for all those years. It's been a very slow, somewhat painful labor of love. And everything's taken longer than expected, so we're running right into the rear end of a Lynch Mob release, which is unfortunate and confusing. But I really love the band. It's really like kind of the underdog project. It's we get in a van and pull a trailer. We go across the country, and we get help from all our friends and fans that support us, and it's very real and very where the rubber hits the road, down to earth. It's a totally different kind of band than obviously Doc and the Lynch Mob. It's a little heavier, but it's still melodic. It's tuned down. There's two guitar players. London is a whole show unto himself. So he's very theatrical and very cool to watch. So it's a completely different animal.
Yeah, I've heard some songs. It's definitely a lot heavier than your Doc and Lynch Mob stuff. I recommend this show to anybody. The Ritz in Warren, Michigan, just north of Detroit on September 12th. We are on the phone with George Lynch. Lynch Mob has a new album coming out, Smoke and Mirrors, on October 13th. Couple random questions here for you. As soon as I saw this posting on my music news site, I thought immediately, George Lynch. There's an opening for Ozzy Osbourne. Has there been any connection there?
Yeah, I saw that too. I definitely know what's going on there with that. And, Zach lives up the street from me. I'm friends with Gus G, who looks like it's going to be the new guitar player. I also know John Five, who's in the running. I threw my name in the hat, but I probably shouldn't be speaking for someone else's band. But yeah, definitely some changes going on there. I had 3 runs at Ozzy, and none of them obviously panned out to any real meaningful extent. So, I don't think I'm in the running at this point. I don't work well in the hired gun status. I'm more of my own kind of player. I like writing my own songs and having my own bands.
It is Ozzy Osbourne, Prince of Darkness.
Yeah. Well, Prince of Darkness and Mr. Scary, that could be a clash of the Titans right there.
That would be. George, thanks a lot for the phone call, man. You still hitting the gym?
When I can, but nobody was paying me to work out. And I started remembering that I'm actually a guitar player, not a bodybuilder. So kind of let that go a little bit. But what I did do, I had some back surgery, so I was in a wheelchair for about a month, and I started needed to stay busy, so I started doing art work and creating these art pieces, and also building guitars. I create my shop down at ESP, and just it's so much fun. So that's just been taken off like gangbusters. And if people want to check out the designs that I'm doing, they can go to georgelynch.com, click on the art tab up there, and it'll have a drop-down box, and there's a gallery of some of the guitars that we've been building.
That's georgelynch.com. You can check out everything George Lynch, from Lynch Mob to Souls of We, who's going to be at the Ritz in Warren, Michigan on September 12th. New album from Lynch Mob, very exciting. October 13th is the U.S. release date. Smoke and Mirrors is the title of the album. George, thank you very much, man. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Taz. I'll see you at the show. Thanks a lot, man.